A warm welcome, everyone, to the Sacred Union Global Summit. The Sacred Union is a journey to self, and it's all about recognizing the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, and the feminine and the masculine within the self, and acknowledging that we need it all to become whole and one with Creator Source. It's in the experience and knowing that being one with everything there is will liberate us from the bondage of hate, separation, poverty, lack, and everything that we are not. The sacred union is also about connecting with our divine feminine and our divine masculine within to restore balance, peace, and harmony within and without, to come home to unity consciousness, the truth of being one with all that is. It's time to know thyself, to remember who you truly are, pure divine love. My name is Ami Sohi, and I'm the host and creator of this event, and I'm delighted to have you all here today. Thank you so much for taking the time and having the courage to be present in this sacred container. I truly appreciate you. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to present to you my good friend and colleague, Rebecca Saltman. Thank you, Rebecca, for joining us today. It's a delight to have you here with us in this sacred container.
It is a delight and joy to be here. I'm so grateful for you, friend, for taking this on and for doing this amazing work. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Rebecca. And for those of you who don't know Rebecca, I'm going to introduce you to Rebecca. So Rebecca is a social entrepreneur, change agent, and disruptor who stands for the open-ended creation of a better world. She is the founder of disruptforgood.life, a writer, visionary of change, and rabble rouser for good. She believes our big work is to establish a future that is equally distributed, where women's voices are critical. In Value Flow Innovation, she, along with her partners, are exploring innovative technological solutions to create and measure impact, collaboration, and investment with a focus on social and environmental results. Her purpose is to establish a world that is built on reciprocity, values, and leaving a legacy. You can learn more about Rebecca on our websites, www.disruptforgood.life and www.valueflow.pt. So Rebecca's topic for today is sacred reciprocity. Welcome, Rebecca, again. Once again, it's a delight to have you with us. And the word reciprocity is really hard for me to pronounce. I've been having issues with this word, also doing it. So I've been practicing how to say this word when I saw your beautiful topic. And now I've just about got the hang of it.
You have
So
got it, babe. You got it. It's
so
super
delighted.
good.
I'm so happy to go into deep conversations with you about reciprocity and sacred reciprocity, right? So before we dive in, I just want to get your point of view on the sacred union. What do they mean to
Yeah.
you?
Well, first off, your description of sacred union is delicious, right? I mean, this idea of being one and restoring balance and magic and miracles. I mean, I think that this is also about reciprocity, right? Because this idea of remembering, and remembering is such an important word in my life because it's not only the idea of thinking back and remembering, but it's also remembering, like remembering the tribe and remembering how we are connected, and this idea of memory and reconnecting, right? And so this remembering who we are is like moving out of this duality. Because if we think about it, we actually, we are one, right? We understanding what I do to you, I do to myself. And so there is no separation. And being the whole instead of just the sum of its parts, we are the whole. So this is not only is it sacred union, but it is sacred reciprocity, right? So for me, this idea of sacred union and reciprocity, meet right there. Reciprocity means being one, unity, consciousness, being able to give and trust that you will receive what you need. Like, so this is perfect match for us.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. So, as I mentioned, at the beginning, that it's a word that I really find or have been finding hard to pronounce, to say, and I think many people as well, because we don't use it enough, right, in our vocabulary. And
Yeah,
also we don't act on it, and
yeah.
also I think many people don't really understand what it means. So can you delve into that, like the meaning? What does it mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. So first, you and I have been talking a lot about this word is super hard to say, right? But it's also super hard to do because we have been entrained to believe that there's only one form of exchange, and that's money, right? We um we have truly forgotten some of these basic things. We've forgotten our connection to nature and each other, right? So this is one aspect of why we can't say or do reciprocity because, right? Like if we are not connected to each other, there is no connection, there is no reciprocity, right? That's number one. So really, what does reciprocity mean to me? Well, a basic example. I don't know, this idea of breathing, right?
Hmm.
We breathe in, right? Then you have to breathe out. This is a form of reciprocity. And if, by the way, if you don't breathe, you can't exist on the planet. So you have to do a little bit something there, right?
Hmm.
Um, and it is nature. This breathing thing, it's nature. And it's reciprocity. This isn't any crazy act, scheme, and barter trade. It is our ability to be here, right? Another important piece for me is reciprocity means using imagination and creativity to find ways to exchange within sufficiency and not scarcity. Okay, so I'm going to use a couple of people that I love and I follow here. So this woman, her name is Lynn Twist. She wrote the book, The Soul of Money. Uh, I've met her several times. She founded the Pachamama Alliance. She talks about sufficiency in a way that is delicious. So I'm going to just quote her for a moment because I think it helps. We each have the choice in any setting to step back and let go of the mindset of scarcity. Once we let go of scarcity, we discover the surprising truth of sufficiency. By sufficiency, I don't mean a quantity of anything. Sufficiency isn't 2 steps up from poverty or 1 step short of abundance. It isn't a measure of barely enough or more than enough. Sufficiency isn't an amount at all. It's an experience, a context we generate, a declaration, a knowing that there is enough and that we are enough. So if you are in sufficiency and not the opposite, which is scarcity, you are in reciprocity. Does this make sense?
Hmm.
Okay. And then another person that I'm following, and she's sort of my spirit person. She's my spirit guide. She's on the planet. Her name is Robin Wall Kimmerer, and she is extraordinary. And if I only get to meet her someday, it would be super great. Anyway, I've been following her work and amazing stuff for a very long time. She also has a conversation a little bit about this too. And she says, in that climate of sufficiency, our hunger for more abates, and we take only what we need in respect for the generosity of the giver. If our first response is gratitude, then our second is reciprocity. Does this make sense?
Hmm. Hmm.
So if we know that we have enough, we have more than enough, for everybody on the planet if we are in sufficiency. When we are in scarcity and fear, we can't receive. And that's why it's so hard to say reciprocity. That's why it's so hard to do reciprocity. Because we are not in sufficiency, none of us. We have been so entrained to believe that we are in scarcity, that we don't have enough and we never have enough. Does this make sense?
Yeah,
Anyway,
definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's the programming, right?
it
For
is.
millennia. Yeah,
Yeah,
from I would say the distorted masculine
it is.
patriarchy that we have today,
Right.
which is just fear-based, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so if we're living in fear, as you mentioned, we're not living in this sufficiency and
Mhm.
the reciprocity that comes when we just, I think, when we just let go and surrender, and yeah, we are enough. We are whole. We are enough. We have enough. I mean, now, I sort of say to myself and to, yeah, friends, family, that we were born whole, and when we go, we will become whole. We will go back to that wholeness. So,
Mhm.
so why are we so afraid? Yeah.
And this goes to your point of sacred union, right?
Yes.
We are whole and one,
Yes.
and it is enough. We are enough, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So why not consider reciprocity? I'm not knocking money. Don't misunderstand me. I am not knocking money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking away anybody's money. I am not bashing money. In fact, it's the opposite, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know you. You talk. Yeah, we've had conversations in the past. You talk a lot about other forms of currency. That
Yeah,
money isn't the only currency.
this is
So
right.
can you go more into
Well,
detail?
let me ask you, do you know other forms of currency that you love to use? Come on, just one, just
Yeah,
one.
just one. Okay, love, for
Love.
example.
See, you can't buy love with money. Well,
No.
I mean, you can buy some things with money, but let's not go there because that's certainly not sacred union. But like money is a currency and love is a currency. Time is a currency.
Mm,
Attention is a currency, right? These are not exchangeable for money. Currency, current is like water or sound. These are things that are measurable in different forms. And there are many. Money is not the only, it is one. And it's an important one. Don't misunderstand. And there are others. So if people on this call and that are listening think about one thing when they leave, if if they just think about the forms of currency they use in every day, other than money, it will spark their imagination to start using other forms of exchange.
mm, yeah, yeah. And also being of service, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a huge form of currency.
Mm,
And they call it volunteerism, which is which is creating separation, right? Volunteerism is not right. It is being of service,
mm,
right? Because volunteering means that we are not getting paid for our work. And it's so you understand the energetics of that is not sacred union.
mm,
It becomes difficult for us to be of service in this planet,
mhm,
which we are made to do, to be of service to the planet and each other.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. And it's, I call it selfless service because you're not expecting anything in return. And it's from that unconditional love
Mhm.
that you're giving to others, to your community, to the environment, because we're also in union, a sacred union with everything around us, which the green beings, that we're
Right.
surrounded by. Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question though. because you're not expecting anything in return. And don't you get lots in return when you're of sacred service to others? What? So you get so many things in return, not money,
Yes, yeah, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you get love,
Yeah.
you get time, you get
Mm-hmm.
connection, you get
Yes.
all of these things that are so important, and they are other currencies,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you share any examples of these other forms of currency that you've experienced in your life?
Sure. So, well, I'll talk, if it's okay, I'll just talk a little bit about an example from my company, Value Flow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we work in reciprocity. It's one of our most important values and one of our most important forms of currency, right? It's how we measure, it's how we work. So we have weekly calls with all of the projects that we are doing. And I'm happy to talk about one of the ones that Ami actually knows a lot about as well. But this is a different one. So we were in conversation with a number of our land projects that we're working on. And it's about a year and a half ago. So it was February, it was in central Portugal. And although it's not cold or winter in Portugal, it's Mediterranean, it's not great to not have, if you don't have basic needs met, right? So one of the participants, one of our land projects heads, gets on the call and his hair's on fire, a little upset. And what's going on? Well, his hot water heater at his project had gone out. And he needed 10,000 euros now. Now, February, sort of the end of the pandemic, supply chains terrible, hot water heater out is a problem, especially when you have a bunch of people there, right? So we don't have 10,000 euros that we're gonna get him right now, period. So we started to have a conversation about what does it look like without 10,000 euros? How do we get creative and imaginative? So the first piece of the conversation was, can it be repaired? Can it be fixed? Well, after some conversation, yes, probably it could be fixed, except supply chain's terrible, getting a plumber there terrible, and there's people there that, they needed the hot water heater like now, not in 2 weeks, right? Okay. So that idea so we put it aside just for the minute. So then the next question was, okay, what do we know and who do we know? Can we borrow one? Can we rent one? Because there's, is there, are there others around? And, we had some really good and creative conversation about what we could do to borrow or rent or, do something in exchange, with people that might have one that it would generally cost 10 grand, but, you know, very creative delightfulness, right? And so then one of the other project heads said, well, what kind of hot water heater do you need? And he said, well, I kind of need an XYZ hot water heater. And then the other guy said, well, could you use an ABC hot water heater? And so they had some conversation. Well, we could do this and we could do this and we could do this. And he said, well, yeah, I could use an ABC hot water heater. So the other guy said, well, I have an ABC hot water heater. I can lend it to you right now. Now, granted, they're some distance apart from one another. And what is true is what happened subsequently is that the borrowing or the giving of this hot water heater, what the initial conversation was the extraction of 10,000 euro. And in reciprocity, it was €0. In fact, it was an infusion of 10,000 euro, because then the exchange of knowledge, one guy coming over to teach the other guy how to install it, how to, maybe you guys can come help us with this and we can come help you with that, and sharing meals. And the subsequent time since that February of 2023, there's been like 100,000 euro of infusion, right? This is reciprocity
Mm-hmm.
because of one act and trust in sufficiency, that everybody got their needs met and so much more,
Wow.
right?
Mm-hmm.
This is reciprocity. You know, animals, I mean, animals don't pay for their food. Birds don't pay for their food. The sun doesn't pay for, to shine, get paid, or rain, or, you know, the land doesn't get paid, right? We've extracted those things. But if we think about sacred reciprocity, sacred union, these are things we don't pay for these things, and people haven't figured out yet, thank God, um, how to extract that and make it be paid for. So these are things in reciprocity. So
Mm.
is
Wow.
that helpful?
Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful. First you said one of the partner just wanted 10,000 euros
Yeah,
now, or not, nothing would do, nothing else would do, but you came up with a solution using reciprocity, other forms of currency. This exchange happened, the knowledge exchange and the love exchange, and wow, beautiful. So if a lot of us can use reciprocity to find solutions, to the world's problems. I mean, yeah, if the politicians, for example, use reciprocity as a means of finding a solution to the world problem, I mean, we would have
precisely.
a different world, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And if you think about things, so we have a reciprocity marketplace in our work, right? And the idea in the reciprocity marketplace is for us to begin that childlike imagination and creativity again. Because we've forgotten, remember? Like this idea of remembering, we've
Hmm.
forgotten. So what if you were a child and you needed to build a fort? Okay, we'll use the pillows and we'll use the sticks. Like, what is it going to take? Like, I don't think about money as a child, right? Like, so how am I going to build my fort? I'm not going to ask my parents for 10 grand to build a fort. I mean, maybe,
Hmm.
but like what is this childlike imagination that we could actually find a way to do this differently?
Hmm.
And I'm not going to say this is the way we used to do it, because that's not necessarily true either. We've evolved in many ways, and money is a currency.
Hmm.
And if we use our imagination and our creativity, how much more can we have? The pie gets so much bigger. It doesn't get scarce. Like this pie doesn't get smaller if we use our imagination, it only gets bigger,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Yes, yes, I love your analogy of the children, the child's play.
Mhm.
And yeah, because children have their hearts open, the imaginations go wild,
True.
they're able to create so much. I don't know, yeah, as adults, because of the programming, we start forgetting, who we truly are. Yes. So therefore, it is time to really know ourselves again. Yes. So I know, Rebecca, you do a lot of work with reciprocity in value flow and so many projects that you're working on with the land because it's the sacred union. We have a sacred union with the land, you know, and it's just so important that we connect back to Mother Nature, Mother Earth, and she's a living being. We need to co-create with her. And so, how do you use the reciprocity in your work? And can you talk about the projects that you're working on with the land?
Yeah. So one of our experiments in value flow, and we just launched our new website, by the way, so I'm so excited about that. One of our experiments, Ami, you know about because you've been following it with us. So we have decided that we want to really do something entirely different because in value flow, we value what's most important, right? So in reciprocity and in valuing the land as a sovereign being, we are working to acquire this gorgeous, pristine forest, 20 hectares in northern Portugal. And this is an experiment, of course. This is not, it hasn't been done because we don't think of the land as sovereign, right? So this 20 hectares of land is for sale. And this man, this beautiful family in northern Portugal, in the Guarda district, he's in his mid-70s and, he can't take care of this land by himself anymore. Let's be clear. But he loves the land, as does his family. And, he's been offered X times more money for the land, but the idea is that they're going to cut down all the trees. Now, here's the thing. He has been stewarding this pristine forest for 30 years. And so to sell it to somebody that's going to cut it down, even to put up something like solar panels, is like so shocking and unacceptable. And what's so interesting is also that this land is surrounded by many monoculture. And so in the heat of summer, when there's fires burning all over the place, that yes, this forest is in danger of fire as well, except when it's it has many, many different kinds of diversity and herbs and trees and plants and things. It's much less difficult for fire to tear through it in one fell swoop. So he has been stewarding this land as a privilege for 30 years. He put together various parcels to be able to create this pristine forest. When I first stepped on the land, I cried because it's so beautiful. And we are acquiring this land from this family. Yes, we are raising money to do it. We are also raising reciprocity, things in reciprocity. So people that can steward the land, that have skill, right, will also be part of this. So one can buy a ticket, a donation from 100 euros to 5,000 euros, for example. And then you get a lifetime of co-stewardship and guardianship of this land with everybody else that chooses to buy tickets to do this. Now, we all have paid probably lots of money to go to different, conventions and conferences, and we go get conference high, and then we come back home, and there's nobody to discuss it with. There's no way to continue the process, and so you've spent $1,000 and it's done. The difference is here, you get lifelong education, and you're co-guardians and stewards with potentially hundreds of other people to be a part of this land. And so this is in reciprocity, right? Because we are looking at this sovereign land and what she needs. And we all together as guardians in reciprocity get to create this together. So that's one of our experiments.
Wow. Yeah, amazing. And people can get information
Yes.
from your website, right?
Yep. So the new website, if you don't mind, I'll just say is www.vfi.eco, ECO.
Okay. So yeah, please everyone go and check out this beautiful website and the project that Rebecca's working on. It's just fantastic. And also I know you're building the communities, right?
Yeah.
also this way. Yeah.
Yeah. So what it does is it helps us be governing together,
Mm,
right? It helps us be in sacred union and reciprocity with the land, right?
mhm, mhm.
It changes our opportunity to be together. And so the land itself, the project itself, the experiment is called January Blossoms in English. And in Portuguese, it's Janeira, which is quite beautiful, I think. And the idea of January blossoms is that this area is called Janeira, which is the first blossoms of the year. So it's literally translated to January blossoms.
Mhm.
So you can find it on our website.
Yeah, beautiful. So, yeah, if you want to be a custodian, a guardian of this beautiful land, which Rebecca just shared with us, so please go on the website and check out all the details, or you can contact Rebecca directly on her website and look at all the work she's doing for the beautiful sovereign land. Yes. So, Rebecca, why do you believe we need to consider reciprocity, especially during these times of massive shifts that are happening on our planet?
So I'll sort of go back to some of the things that we were talking about in your beautiful introduction, right? That these are magical times, times of deep transformation, and I mean, also huge conflict, right? So these are things that go side by side. And again, I'll repeat what I do to you, I do to myself. So this is so important in this idea of reciprocity, right? If we actually knew this, if we actually absorbed this, if we remembered how to say the word reciprocity and we could do it, I know it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. We wouldn't have, I mean, I'm not trying to be Pollyanna, but we wouldn't have such huge conflict and war if we could start to move in this direction, right? The temperature would go down
Hmm.
on all of this conflict. So I think I told you this story, Ami. I was walking in the park nearby where I now live, and I saw these two little girls blowing bubbles, like, and it was so amazing. So I took out my phone and I wanted to take a quick picture, a quick video of these little girls because it showed such joy and exuberance, right? The mother came over and absolutely had a fit with me. Okay. Now, granted, I take full responsibility. I should have asked for permission, all of those things. What I want to say about this moment is that if we understood that that joy needed to be shared and that this mother wasn't in desperate fear of her children being seen in this joyful moment, and again, take full responsibility. Like I was not okay, but I was caught up in the joy too. That so much fear of separation. What if we could have been in reciprocity in that moment?
Hmm.
What if I could have shared a moment of this beautiful, deep reciprocity, and this mother would have not been in fear and separation and not scarcity, and she could have been in sufficiency and said, "Oh my God, if my children could be sharing their joy with the world and making the world better, this would be beautiful, right?"
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a real shame that we've gone to that level of fear that we can't, share this joy and ripple that out into the world. And joy is another form of currency, right?
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The beautiful shares. Thank you for all your shares. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience? And
So I think if all goes according to plan and everything is crossed, we have a video that we can share in reciprocity
wow,
as a gift.
okay.
Now, I'm working with Ami to get the details of how we're going to put it, but probably we can put it in the notes of this, the link so that you can see the land. You could see our visit to the land. And it's super sweet. It's not very long, but you can get an idea of what's happening at Janetta. And I would just love to share because that is joy.
Mm.
You know, that's not little girls blowing bubbles, but it's at least us playing in flowers. So there's that. So I'd love to offer that as our gift.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So please share that beautiful gift with us, with the audience and everybody. You can check that. We'll put the link below this presentation and you can check out that beautiful land, the video. Yeah. And if you ever, want to be part of it or visit it, you can get in touch with Rebecca and she'll share all the details about where this land is. And yes, and happy to give you a personal tour if you
I
ever,
will.
yeah.
And I'm hoping that I can give you a personal tour, my friend.
Yes, yes, I'm definitely, it's on my list to visit, yes.
Super.
Beautiful project, yes. And I've seen other videos of it you've shared with us while you were working on this project. Yeah, just amazing. And the lavender, you were talking about the
Right?
lavender that's growing there.
Talk
Oh,
about reciprocity.
that's a reciprocity. Yeah. I mean, it's freely available to us. Nature just
Exactly.
is in this process of reciprocity, the flow, right?
It
And
is. It's amazing, really.
yeah. So we should learn from Great Mother, Mother Earth, yeah, about reciprocity. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know I was listening to another lady recently, Taria Ward, and she was talking about how connected, we are.
Yeah,
We are basically, part of the trees,
we
right?
are.
Our roots are so deep. We're just not aware of how deep our roots are below and above and connected to everything. And we just can't live without each other, without nature, without Mother Earth, without the stars, we're
Mhm.
all connected. Yeah.
That
And
Tari Award, she's smart. We like her.
yeah, her presentations are always so magical, just magical.
Cool. Right? And
Yeah.
again, that's reciprocity and that's sacred union.
Yes, that's the
Those are true.
yes, and we really need to go back to that union again, that sacredness, and to become whole with everything that there is. Yeah, and back to source. That's the way we get back to source. Yeah. Wow, beautiful talking to you, Rebecca. Thank you so much. Any last minute shares or anything you want to leave the audience with? Some tools, tips about reciprocity.
No, really, I just want to give you my gratitude for, again, for this time and attention, these very important currencies that we forget about, and for all of your work and just deepest gratitude.
Uh, you're most welcome. And everybody, thank you for joining us. And as I mentioned, please share. Please go to the link to the free gift and check the video out of the beautiful land and connect with Rebecca. And you'll get to know all about the projects she's working on in reciprocity. Oh, I managed to say the word. Okay. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for
Thanks.
joining us today. And I wish everybody a beautiful day. Thank
Have a
you.
great one. Thank you.